Hi, today we're going to talk about what living things are, and we're going to compare them to non living things. So, the basic unit of life is called the cell. So, every single living organism has to have at least one cell to be considered living. Um, so, humans are made up of multiple cells. So, we're called multicellular. And then there are some organisms called prokaryotes that are made of one cell, called unicellular. Unicellular. So a cell kind of looks like this. Well, this is a eukaryotic cell. This is the kind of cell that's in our body. The cell to the left, the cell to the left is the kind of cell that we humans have because we're technically considered animals. We're part of the animal kingdom, and then the cells on the right are what plants have. So you're gonna see little what's called organelles. So these organelles perform a certain job for the cell. So for example, our nucleus is gonna have DNA, which is the blueprint for the body, and it basically has the information for how to build a cell and how to build a human being, in our case. Um, then the mitochondria, which you might have heard is the powerhouse of the cell. And yeah, and those are just some of the basics. Now, a difference that you might be able to see is that a plant cell has a cell wall and animal cells don't. That's one way you can differentiate animal cells from plant cells. Another way you can differentiate them is that plant cells have this huge vacuole right here. And animal cells have vacuoles, but they're much smaller and not as huge. And plant cells also have chloroplast, which is what um, plants use to get energy from the sun. And since and plants carry out what's called photosynthesis, which is when they take the energy from the sun and convert it to energy that they can use. Animals don't do that. Humans don't take energy from the sun and use it. So that's why we don't have a chloroplast. So cells are made up of organelles, which are made up of atoms. So we humans have trillions of cells, and they all help us function and live. Here is a video that I found on YouTube, and it's called Structural Components of Cells.
This is where we left off in the previous video. We mounted plant cells and animal cells on slides to observe them under the microscope. Let's study them in general in this video. For our convenience, let's select just one. Say the onion peel cells to understand the structure and the contents of the cell. Roughly, we've seen these thick, distinct borders that differentiate each cell from the other one. Then we have these tiny dark spots scattered all over. Also, we can spot this prominent circular structure here, which is very darkly stained. Any idea what these things are? Well, these are the cell constituents. Let's get introduced to each. This outer margin seen here is called the cell wall. If we zoom in a bit, we notice that there is another layer in the inner side of this cell wall. This is called the cell membrane. Yes, the outer wall is the cell wall, and the inner layer is called the cell membrane. The cell membrane is also referred to as the plasma membrane. It is porous in nature. So what does porous mean? It simply means that any material can move in and out of the plasma membrane. But isn't that dangerous? Of course it is. But the simple solution lies in the nature of the plasma membrane. That is because it is selectively permeable. So what does selectively permeable mean here? Just like a guard standing at the office door who allows only members with the identity cards to enter and exit, the plasma membrane also allows only specific materials to move across. We will look at this in details in our upcoming videos. This was just to understand how the plasma membrane is selectively permeable. Now let's move ahead to know about the cell wall. Do you think all cells have cell walls? Well, the answer is a no. That's because animal cells do not have cell walls. An animal cell only has the plasma membrane and not the cell wall. The cell walls act as protectors for plant cells. It's composed of a non-living rigid structure that is cellulose. It not only acts as a protector, but also gives a proper shape to the plant cells. It also helps in cell-to-cell interactions and provides a barrier to undesirable macromolecules. It protects, it gives shape to the cells, and it helps in cell-to-cell interactions. Clearly, the cell wall is a very important part of the plant cell structure. Now let's get into this lighter region here. This lighter region is the cytoplasm. It's a jelly-like substance filling up the cell space. And these tiny parts in the cytoplasm are the organelles. And what exactly are they? Just like the human body has different organs, the cell has various organelles. And just like the organs, each organelle performs a different function. Let's study each organelle and its functions in our upcoming videos.
So that kind of gave an overview of like plant cells and animal cells.